Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are in this grand world. I hope the day has begun really well and you are doing really well. Thank you for coming to sit with me today as we explore emotions and how we hold them in our body and what that might bring to us. My name is Gwenda Smith. I'm a spirit medicine woman, a spiritual and holistic wellness mentor and educator. It's still very present. I was going to say before last year, being 2020, I thoroughly enjoyed travelling the world and sharing my knowledge and wisdom and all things wellness and spiritual. Travelling the world has definitely changed, but being on platforms and being able to move around the world from my desk has created a whole different opportunity and way of being able to share my wisdom and knowledge. It is my greatest joy to be able to bring to you ways that you are able to embrace this life that bring you greater happiness, more peace in your heart, more ease of clarity for living your life purpose, and most importantly, of being able to live strong and well. You know, wellness is our everything. Without our wellness, we have nothing. We could be a multi-billionaire, but if we don't have our wellness, there is no point to that wealth. Money and abundance of money is just one part of our life experience here. But how much angst does money create? How much pain does money create? For some people, just the thought of the word, the thought of the postie coming relates back to money and what happens in the physical self. When you hear that postie coming and they stop at your letterbox and you've just been looking at your bank account or you've just paid a last bill that you were paying off, what is that feeling? Does the bottom of your stomach fall out? Do you feel nauseous? Do you feel like you can't see properly? Want to rush to the toilet? Might even have a surge of anger, frustration and annoyance, and then find that you're snappy with your pets, with yourself, with everyone around you. And this is your response to just hearing the postie and you're feeling that there's another bill in the mail and I don't know how I'm going to manage. So money creates incredible emotional responses to which we attach a feeling. When I like to express and talk about emotions, I love the word emotion because it's a fantastic representation of us being energy in motion. And when we are energy in motion and we are in the flow of the motion, we find solutions. We're able to see our way clear in everything that life brings to us, everything, even money. So when we are looking at our own energy flow, we can notice where it is not flowing. Our body is the most amazing helper. It is our greatest indicator of letting us know that our energy is not in motion. And how is that? Well, if you have irritable bowel syndrome, if you have migraines, blood pressure issues, weight problems, especially around the middle area of the body, then there are your energy blockages, and you are no longer energy in motion, in flow in those areas of the body. I absolutely love the human being, the human body. I think it is just the most amazing creation. There is so many facets to us. There are so many wonders to us as a creation. And when we are able to master our emotions, we then live in a place of calm, of harmony, of peace, and ultimately an enriched life. Simply divine. Was it meant to be that way? Simply divine, yes. You'll notice that there is a word I have not used in there saying, voila, a perfect life, because that is not in our description. In so saying, we can create our perfect life. But if you are a perfectionist and you're always looking for perfection, then you are sure to have emotion that is no longer in motion. Being able to accept everything that life is right now and being able to release what life has been is a state of perfection. Something to get your head around, isn't it? How do we master emotions? By coming to understand our responses to emotions. By learning to be able to release those responses before they become a blockage in the physical self. Every organ in the body retains an emotion. And this is something that the traditional Chinese medicine was able to ascertain over 2,500 years ago. And it's out of that meridian lines became to be understood or to be known. Acupuncture, acupressure were developed. And if you've ever had acupressure or acupuncture, you will know that you can feel the release of energy once that needle has been removed or that pressure has been removed. When I did my training as a trigger point therapist and pain therapist, it was incredible to see the difference in a client after we had done the various exercises, procedures to release blockages that sometimes they weren't even aware were there. Their whole posture changed. Their face looked different. There was brightness in their eyes and light in their eyes. Incredible. And they themselves were able to say that they could feel the difference, an amazing difference. What I would like to bring to you today is for you to be able to begin your journey of being emotionally aware as the observer, so so that you can become more attuned to your body, in what your body is saying, what it is letting you know, where there is an emotion, energy in motion, where it is stuck. Now, there are many layers to this, so I'm going to blend them together for you, because in that way you will take whichever area resonates with you right now. And this is what's really important as part of a self-healing, a self-awareness, soul expansion part of your life goes. When you pay attention to something that is really calling you, that is what is needed for you at that time. You see, we have so many tools available to us, so many tools, so many practices that are all going to offer us some kind of healing at that moment. So if you've ever found yourself wanting to be very heavily involved in track racing, running, and you just live for it, and then maybe you break a femur or you split an Achilles tendon, and you have to step out of your mad passion for track racing. And when you try and come back, you find that that flair for it and that tremendous passion isn't the same, that it's gone. Now you will sit in a place of frustration and annoyance. Excuse me, that is actually something that I ate, that my system is saying didn't really want that. So when you have gone through a process where you feel like you've lost something that was so important to you, you become frustrated, you can get very angry, you can even go into resentment. But you see, the thing is that that snapped Achilles or that broken femur was actually a call for you to stop and to pay attention, that there's something else that you needed to be moving on to, and there was something you needed to be releasing that was all tied up in this tremendous passion for race running, track running. If you've ever had a hobby, maybe mosaic arts, maybe crocheting, cross-stitching, and all of a sudden you find you can't even bear to look at it. Here we are again. This is your higher self. It is your physical self calling to you to say there is something you need to have a look at, and it is time to release and move on. But instead of us seeing it that way, we get cranky and we get agitated that we can't keep doing what we were doing. And this is how we don't grow, by wanting to keep doing what we've been doing. That is stuck energy. That is not energy in motion. And then when you've placed yourself in a situation of feeling angry, feeling frustrated, feeling annoyed, even stepping into a bit of resentfulness, then we find that we've suddenly got a lot of heat in our body. We've got blood pressure issues. We're susceptible to injury. Could be banging ourselves on a door. Could be tripping down a step. But you'll have lots of little injuries. And they're all born out of holding on to that emotion and preventing the flow of energy in motion. So to master your emotions means that you are able to be the observer of an emotion without attaching a feeling, without attaching a response to that emotion. And yes, it takes patience, it takes practice, It takes tools, it takes practices to master it. But I can tell you that it's worth it, because therein you experience the soul growth and soul expansion that you came here to experience. Greater still, on the human experience level, so on your lived experience level, you then take yourself into a place of being able to find solutions with ease, to be able to have a clear mind, to live life passionately and have an enriched life that is full of harmony. Which is better, to have energy and motion stuck somewhere in the body that's creating issues, creating and feeling responses, or to live that way of having a clear mind, ease of making decisions, being able to have the abundance that you seek? Which one do you like most? So when we have a look at the physical body to find where there is energy not in motion, where there is a feeling, there are simple practices that you can do every day and at any time. So for example, if you find that you have got a really bloated stomach, even after having water or a fresh juice, you can place your hands on your stomach and go into a space of quietness and breath, using the breath, and through your hands ask to feel what it is. And you know, it's amazing. You will have an emotional feeling come forward, and if you ignore it, so for example, you've got your hands on your very bloated stomach and you've asked, what is this about? And you hear or sense the word stuck or frustrated or holding on, and you ignore it. You think, oh, that's just silly. Why would my stomach be bloated for that? And you ignore it. And the symptom continues. So you become very, very uncomfortable after everything you eat. You even try and go on a gut health program or a detox, and yet you still get this bloatedness. But what happened to the response you got that let you know what that bloatedness actually represents? Nothing. Because you ignored it. Because you said, no, that can't be right. That's just silly. I'm not stuck with anything. I'm not holding on to anything. So it continues. And it continues until it becomes a really serious issue. And by then you are still not addressing it. By then you have to undergo surgery or have treatment which brings in other complications. So now you're really sick and you can't think of anything else. Another practice that you can use is simply the breath. Yeah, here she goes again about the breath. But simply the breath. Being able to go into the breath, learning to do breath exercises, and the one that I love is the counted breath. So as you breathe in, you count to 5. Now if you've not done a breath exercise before, you may find it easier to count to 3 or 4. Ideally 5. So you breathe into the count. So it's not, I'm breathing in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You actually breathe into the count. So by the time you get to 5, you've taken that breath. You hold the breath for the count of 5 at the same beat as what you breathed in. You release to the count of 5 and you hold your breath again for the count of 3, 4 or 5, whichever one you're using. And you'll notice that as you do this over and over, you will become more peaceful, you become more relaxed. When you do that, the organ that is feeling the distress of an emotional feeling that is held in there can suddenly release itself. As you breathe more, you gain more oxygen through your system, which assists your heart, assists your blood flow, and gives all of the organs a chance to relax. And most importantly, the breath allows the nervous system to breathe. And when your nervous system can breathe and relax, everything changes. So that's another practice that you can use. Other things that you can use to be able to release emotions is journaling. But I would like to say to you here, when you journal, focus on what it is that you would like to understand about yourself. So you would ask questions of, what is this that I am feeling? And then you can ask, how is this that it has come about? Or who is this? Because a feeling always has someone attached to it. And you just might be surprised as to who comes forward when you ask, who is this? Now, it could be very current, because it could be a situation that you have not spoken freely about, that you've held back on, or you feel you can't talk to that person about that subject. And instead of releasing that, you have held that within the body. So you'll find that that person's name will come up. And again, it's very possible and most likely that you will ignore it. And why do we do that? Because we don't want to look. We don't want to look at something that is creating a feeling that we don't like. And yet we harbour that feeling. And we overload our physical self to the point of it becoming distressed to then diseased or ill. So when I had my wellness centre, people that would come to me and say, I'm here because I've got a frozen shoulder, or I'm here because I've got bursitis of my shoulder, I'm here because I broke my shoulder. And I would say, fine, so what's the problem in your heart? And they would look at me and say, no, I didn't say I was here for my heart. I said I was here for my shoulder. And I go, yep. So what's going on in your heart? And I love to do that, to trigger that part of the deeper mind that can go, aha, here's a doorway opening for me to finally be heard. But the person would always be focused on the area of pain and what they'd been given as a label for what that is. Because that makes us feel better, right? When we've got a label about what something is, we can go, well, I've got this and this. But that's not what we've got at all. That is the physiological outcome of what is really going on. So how is the shoulder related to the heart? Well, for a start, it's up in the heart chakra area. And when the heart chakra and the heart are becoming overloaded to the point where it can be a serious problem, the energy gets pushed outward to protect the heart, the physical heart, and the heart chakra. Remembering that chakras are energy in motion. So when there is a shoulder problem, it is because there is an overload of emotion stuck in the heart. And the funny thing is, after a period of time, as we get the person more mobile and get their shoulder more mobile and get them more mobile all over, then we start to funnel down into, so what's really going on in life? And oh my, tears, upset, maybe even withdrawing. So we go through the process of finding out what is that about. And it always, always comes down to, oh, my heart. And it could be something that is 15, 20 years old. But it has been trapped in there for all those years. And that pain of heartbreak, of grief, even anger can reside in the heart. The liver is really the place where anger is predominantly held, but anger can be held in the heart because behind anger is love and a want to be loved. Fascinating, isn't it? Good morning or good afternoon to the lovely person who's been sitting with me for a few minutes now. I really appreciate you being here, and I welcome you to say hello. I'd love to know who I'm sitting with. So when we look at lower back and we have continual issues in a lower back, when there are issues in a lower back, there will also be issues in testes, in bladder, in urination, hips, knees, ankles, toes, and every part of those. Oh, hello, it's me. How lovely. Every part of every one of those body parts are all a message around being stuck in your direction of life, your sense of feeling stable and secure in yourself and in life around you. So if your focus on life is external and your work is looking very unstable, your work going forward is looking worrying for you, then all of your focus is on external influences of your life and will reflect in your posture, your toes, your ankles, your knees, your hips, your lower back. When your focus of feeling stable and secure as in the person you are, when your focus is there, then you will have dreadful problems in your hips, your pelvic basin, and all the organs associated, and your lower back. The sciatic nerve will get involved, and oh man, that's a pain to be reckoned with. So awful. Or you could tear your leg off with sciatic pain. So you see how you are viewing the circumstances of your life, and you create different expressions of energy not in motion in your physical self. So if you are a very external person and it's all about what life around you is not doing for you, then the disturbance in your physical self will be felt in those respective areas of the body, particularly if it's around feeling secure financially, feeling secure and strong in your work or in your place of work. Then you will have the ricochet effect through the lower body, but you will also have a lot of mind issues, headaches, migraines, trouble with being able to see. But when it is internal, when it is about your sense of place in yourself and your sense of feeling secure in who you are, then the pain is different, but it is still going to be in that lower pelvic area of the body and lower back. And you will find that the facet joints in the lower back will often be inflamed, or what they call out, which is really that they have seized, they're not out at all. So we are an incredible creation, and we have the ability to be our own masters of emotion, energy in motion. We have the ability and the power to become more aware of our emotions before they become a feeling, which means that we respond in feeling. So we respond in happiness, in joy, in anger, in frustration. And therein starts the imbalance and the trouble. But when you can be the observer immediately and recognize that there is an emotion that has been kicked into gear by a trigger, and it is a neurological response, when we can be that quick to recognize it and we can step into breath, we can step into being the observer by moving away and observing what that is. Then we don't apply the feeling and become that feeling. And in that we become an enriched, enlightened, harmonious being, which is what we truly are. Now, I'm not for one moment saying avoid your feelings. I'm not saying that at all, because emotions are a big part of this human experience. But we can either use them to embrace learning about ourselves, to be able to experience soul growth and soul expansion, or we get lost in those feeling responses and take ourselves down a merry path of lack, of fear, of illness, of disease. Which would you rather do? Simple steps once again that alleviate this and make you the powerful person, the powerful being that you really are. The breath, the posture, what you eat, and awareness of how you respond. Use journaling, use touch, the tangible touch to the body, and ask the questions. What is this? What is this swelling? What is this inflammation? And you will get a feeling response. To that you then ask, who or what is this? And then you make a decision on releasing that. I hope that that has been insightful for you today. I hope that there has been some lovely practices that perhaps you're not using all the time, or that you can see a greater value in using them in your everyday life. It's been a joy to sit with you. Sharon, thank you for being here with me. And I'll look forward to being back on Friday. So until then, everybody have a wonderful week. Bye for now.